The Street Fighter 6 Season 3 characters have already been revealed. While we do not have 100% confirmation of this, there is a huge amount of evidence pointing towards the characters we shall be receiving next year, with a huge chunk of the fighting game community believing that the clues that we have are conclusive enough to all but confirm a good portion of whom will be announced to be joining the roster in 2025. Yes, that's right. Although Season 2 has only just been announced itself, the first character who has been dropped into the game from that batch has provided us with lots of information in the game's arcade and world tour modes that allude to who will be joining the fray in the future of the franchise. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Big Daddy Top Hat here. This is everything we know about Street Fighter 6 Season 3 and its characters. Yeah! It's only been a few weeks since we viewed the earth-shattering trailer that would showcase to us that Elena, Terry Bogard, Mai Shiranui and M.Bison would all be joining the roster of Street Fighter 6. And with M.Bison already here, we have had the opportunity to not only learn more about his intriguing re-emergence, but perhaps even more excitingly, who will likely be joining the Street Fighter 6 lineup next year. What's all the more riveting about this is that if you have played the new content in the game for yourself, you will likely realise that I am far from alone in drawing such inferences, as it seems that Capcom have made some of the future story direction for the game so abundantly clear that it's impossible to miss. So let's dig into both where we are at, and just as poignantly, where we are heading in this epic game. Street Fighter 6 has been an outrageously important fighting game, with it still being heavily talked about over a year after its initial release. While I assume most of you watching have already jumped on it by now, I can get you an incredibly huge 61% off of the Ultimate Edition of the game that even includes the Year 1 Ultimate Pass. In fact, using my affiliate link, I can get you up to 90% off of thousands of titles, so use my links in the pinned comments and get some amazing deals today. Upon firing up arcade mode and selecting M.Bison, we are introduced to this character's first canonical appearance in Street Fighter 6's story. Here he emerges chiseled and muscular, yet completely naked, leading me to believe that Street Fighter's homosexual fanbase will likely proclaim him to have daddy vibes. Reminiscent of Terminator, Big Daddy Bison shows up in this condition, minding his own business in an alleyway, only to be accosted by thugs who begin to mock this unclothed reflection of perfection. They laugh at the former dictator for being naked and sleeping next to a dumpster, calling him a loser and drawing the conclusion that he must have got mugged or something. Due to the fact that he has more muscle mass than Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime, when M.Bison gets up and looks angrily at the hooligans, they begin to grovel and promise they were not looking for trouble. This, however, is not enough to stop the despot from flooring all of them, reducing them to a heap on the ground. Just about managing to still breathe, one of them asks M.Bison who he is. However, channeling the legendary Jafar, he states that no matter how many street rats he crushes, his hunger cannot be satisfied. He concludes he may not know who he is, but what he desires is crystal clear. So as long as he follows the hunger inside him, he will eventually find the one who will fulfill him. He will be whole again, kinky. After some fighting, he heads back to the ruined laboratory, where he questions what is the power he continues to yearn for. Not knowing who she is talking to, these comments draw the attention of Jury, who is curious why a stranger is at this location. Shocked and horrified though, she quickly realises who she has perhaps confronted, but begins to get cocky the moment she notices he has amnesia. She maniacally laughs and tells him that Bison was the lowest of the low, and is supposed to be 6 feet under by now. Realising that she knows things he doesn't, M.Bison insists he tells her more, leading to a fight between the two. M.Bison, with his psycho power, easily dispatches of everyone's favourite Street Fighter super skank, giving him the opportunity to choke and interrogate the usually sadistic woman. He asks if he is this Bison whom she speaks of, what would she do? She says she would make him remember everything he did, then make sure he suffers and dies again. Emotionally, she shouts, "Is that what you want to hear?" before Bison flippantly and dismissively drops her, laughing at her for believing she is capable of killing him. The former dictator refers to her as nothing but a squawking crow, but confirms he will take the Bison name for himself. He insists she shall call him Bison now, however, he has no desire to know her name. He mocks Jory further, stating he just needs her to satisfy his hunger, ordering her to dance for him, laughing evilly as the scene ends. While M.Bison's arcade mode further showcased the character's amnesia, it would be the game's World Tour mode where we would learn a little more lore around this fighter, as well as be given the strong clues indicating who will be arriving in Season 3. So from here, let's switch our attention over to that side of things. M.Bison's integration into World Tour mode is even more intriguing, with us even getting to learn more about his lovely horse. Here your avatar begins communications with a character known as Fu, an individual who the game makes very clear is really just Fang under another alias. You know, M.Bison's loyal poison assassin and second in command who held a major role in Street Fighter V. Via instant messages, he sends the avatar off on a mission trying to photograph a strange animal that has been seen roaming around Nashal. After going on somewhat of a wild goose chase, shooting the incorrect subjects, eventually you find M.Bison's lovely horse. Here the scene of M.Bison, the horse and the avatar that we saw take place in the trailer plays out. When this takes place, Bison insists to the avatar that his horse is fond of them, but forebodingly adds that if they seek strength, they shall cross paths again. World Tour mode continues to unfold, with Fang being grateful for the lovely horse photo, as well as being pleased with the fact the imagery included the person riding it. The avatar soon meets Fang in real life to collect their reward, but insists this M.Bison must be a fake, as not only is it too soon for his return, but Fang has not been told personally. He hypothesises that it's just a backup body that's been activated by mistake, but it still needs investigating. Later at the Psycho Power reactor, conducting experiments gets the reactor back online, and then Bison's hat on the throne-like seat begins to flow and glow with purple Psycho Power. The machine begins to project imagery of Bison's appearance in previous games in the series, with them all slowly coming together to form a Wizard of Oz-like hologram of Bison's face. Laughing maniacally, the man, who now calls himself M.Bison, emerges from the shadows with a collection of images asking the figure who he is. The collection of images insists he is M.Bison, and he is Shadaloo, before the flesh amnesiac version of the fighter commands to the presence, "Then you shall be me." The presence refers to this as idiocy, and says he needs to know his place, before the man uses his Psycho Power imbued fist to punch through the Phantom, absorbing it and becoming one. Here it seems Bison begins to become more complete. As interesting as this was, personally I got a kick from M.Bison's interaction with a scientist that occurred directly after this scene. Bison tells the man to call him whatever. Bison, Vega, Shadaloo Lord, whatever. It doesn't matter. This sends out a wonderful message to all those annoying Japanophiles I get in my comments, who insist I am wrong for not calling him Vega, like them. I love that the franchise creators insist that the mainstream audience is just as correct as the sad weebs who go around trying to police everyone else's speech. It's now officially canon that both names are correct, something that gets built on even more in Street Fighter VI, which we shall get to when discussing the potential character reveals. Now we just need Ryu to come out and say it's fine to call him either Ryu or Ryu, then we'd all be more happy. The scientist ensures to Bison that he can help him recover more of his residual memories, but Bison soon brings up that regardless of his past, he will live as his own man. More and more of Bison's memories are recovered as he trains with the Avatar, with Fang continuing to receive updates on the matter as the training progresses. The fact, though, that M.Bison has not at any point mentioned Fang leads him to conclude that this cannot be a true rebirth, as he did not mention who Fang at least believes to be the most important person of all. Through Bison's recovery process, though, he does acknowledge the new Shadaloo splinter groups, such as Neo Shadaloo controlled by Ed, and the other entity controlled by JP, but he doesn't seem to be in any rush to take back control of any of them at this point. He also reveals why he didn't choose to instantly kill the Avatar, suggesting it was because his lovely horse likes them. Speaking of the lovely horse, M.Bison mentions that at one point it was a simple pack horse that worked until the brink of death. Noticing that the animal was near the end of its life, yet still longing to run freely, Bison gave it Psycho Power, prolonging its existence and making the horse of rare quality, as it should be given the task of carrying him. Being that he views the Avatar too as a simple pack horse, he sees no problem utilising them to his needs too. He also reveals that each time he uses his psycho power, more memories are revealed, showing us flashbacks to a young M.Bison's life for the first time in the entire franchise's history. Although previously much of his past has been shrouded in mystery, we were made aware of his connections to Rose and Soul Power. The flashback in Street Fighter 6 builds on all of this further, showing us a young Bison with a hand imbued with psycho power, with Rose attending to an injured master who it appears that Bison mortally wounded. He adds that soul power is a power that resonates with and pacifies the ki that permeates this world, and that there were a number of people who could use it, and he was one of them. But then he discovered the true power that lay on the other side. Not a power of order, but one of terrible chaos. He did not hesitate to take it. He relinquished the soul power he controlled and replaced it with psycho power, endless strength beyond that of any other being. You know what they say? The dark side of the Force leads to many possibilities, some might say are unnatural. Reportedly, his master tried to prevent this, so Bison murdered them. He soon concludes that he shall conquer mankind itself, as it's only natural for one chosen by psycho power to rule over all. He adds that Shadaloo was nothing more than a means to an end, but if he judges it to be necessary, he will revive the organisation or perhaps mould it to serve him in another way. But what ultimately happens to it is not of concern to him. Regardless of what happens, he believes the world will be his. Now here though is the really intriguing part. Bison mentions that with his own memories he reaches for answers, and in some places he has only found mysteries. He remembers two names, Balrog and Vega, and reveals to the Avatar that it's their mission to find them, leading to quests which I, and many others, believe relate to who shall become the Season 3 characters. Fang texts the Avatar, noting that he has heard they have been asked to look into the names of Vega and Balrog. Fang informs them that although both indeed were Shadaloo officers, neither of them were special. However, he will assist them in tracking them down anyway, advising the Avatar to head to Italy. He assures them that a clue will lie there to assist in finding Vega. At the Colosseum where Marissa fights, they meet Minox, who states that according to Fu, aka Fang, that you have to fight in the most beautiful way possible if they want to find Vega here. Past this point, the Avatar must face off with a fighter named Ignacio, who must be defeated without taking any damage, a challenge on the taller side to say the least. Awesomely though, they do battle in Vega's iconic mask. When defeated, they remove the mask and flee the scene, with Minox stating that in his opinion the fighting performance certainly seemed beautiful enough. The victory earned players Ignacio's mask. Taking the mask back to Fang leads to Fang confirming that it's proof of fighting beautifully, but the really cool part is that apparently it can be used as a means to contact someone, a feat that can be achieved at the underground stadium in Neishao. Once at Neishao, a mystery individual texts the Avatar, who very much appears to be Vega. They quickly admit that is exactly who they are, and the Avatar can call them that if they wish. But adds some also call him Balrog. But the truth is neither of these are his real names and are simply aliases, like being referred to as one of the Kings of Shadaloo. Once again, a lovely little reference to the inconsistencies in the characters' names internationally. It's cool to see this become canon to the story, with it particularly making sense based on the fact that Shadaloo is a criminal organisation, so of course people involved are going to have fake names. We then get given a fully voiced acted illustrated Vega sequence, much like the ones we received for all the game's roster members, with the level of effort put in, all but confirming he will be playable as of Season 3. He states he did not care much for Shadaloo in the first place, as he never desired absolute power, as he is the master of his own castle after all. He does however admit that he found a hint of beauty in M.Bison's crazed ambitions for world domination. So therefore, if M.Bison is back, and it's the beginning of a new age of madness and blood, then it will be time for Vega to take his claw once again. He tells the Avatar to inform he's leader of this. After speaking to a man named Punch, next you go to locate a man who is arranging fights in Neishao, with Fang informing the Avatar that they will be joining a tournament there. One of the Avatar's targets, Balrog, will be betting on matches. Fang tells the Avatar that if they fight exactly how they are told, he will bet on them, and when they win, he should take a liking to them. Fighting in the streets, Punch gets the Avatar to have multiple matches where they must stick to various conditions to progress. After doing this, they finally begin receiving instant messages from Balrog. He is pleased due to the Avatar making them a lot of money today, leading him to let them in on some stuff. Like Vega, Balrog has his own illustrated and fully voice acted introduction, alluding to the fact that he is very, very likely to be another Season 3 fighter. Balrog admits that he doesn't give two craps about the Shadaloo sinking ship, but adds that he had some pretty good times there though. He brings up that if the Avatar is looking for muscle, he will consider their offer, but there is an issue. He brings up that word is that Ed, the boy who Balrog raised like a son, now has his own thing going called Neo Shadaloo, so he doesn't know which side to pick. But Cash does plenty of talking in his world, alluring to the fact that he is so morally bankrupt, he will take whichever side will pay him the most. He tells the Avatar to let M.Bison know that back at the lab. After this, Fang advises the Avatar to give Bison the good news. Once there, Bison states that he believes followers will flock to who holds the world in the palm of their hand. That is all that matters. Bison adds though there is another officer on the edges of his memory, Sagat, but believes he disappeared long ago, so only requires those he can use when the time presents itself. After further regaining his memory, M.Bison adds that Vega and Balrog were no simple officers. He used psycho power to bend their minds, turning them into cogs of his machine. Hilariously, at the end of all of this, the Avatar gets more text from Fang, who asks if M.Bison remembered his most loyal, most fabulous, most terribly important officer. The Avatar replies, "You bet," leaving Fang to sigh a gasp of relief. This, of course, is until the Avatar tells him that the officer is Sagat, leading the Fang comically claiming that M.Bison still cannot be in his right mind, so an imperfect rebirth must have taken place. So he must move forward under that assumption, with the conversation concluding that he will contact the Avatar again when he needs them. Based on all what we have learned from M.Bison's incredible comeback, through all of this it feels almost dead set that Balrog and Vega are going to become Season 3 Street Fighter 6 characters. World Tour Mode all but confirmed this, with the missions that revolved around bringing them back into the Shadaloo fold. But this still leaves the question, who will the other two spots go to? While there is a large chance that Capcom could end up surprising us completely with the latter ones, here are my predictions going forward. I believe that Sagat too will become a DLC fighter, but based on the fact that M.Bison brings up that he disappeared long ago, personally I believe they are going to save his return for Season 4 DLC in 2026. As for Fang, I have a different prediction for him entirely. Considering how loathed he was as a combatant by many in Street Fighter V, I predict that this comic relief angle of trying to get M.Bison to acknowledge his existence may end up stretching over years of content, and based on the fact that they have made a character model of him, but not made him a roster member, I don't believe they're going to add him to the roster at all, and if they do, it won't be until the final season. I reckon his self-inflated importance will become a running gag in the series, but this still leaves the other two roster spots completely open. One thing we do know about characters being added to the game is how that according to Capcom they are choosing DLC fighters for the title. In an interview with VentureBeat, Street Fighter 6 director Takayuki Nakayama reveals that when selecting roster members for the game, that they don't really focus on exactly what title their characters came from when it comes to deciding who to introduce and who to add into the game. We look at the characters individually, seeing what kind of fighting styles they use, their countries of origin. Eleanor is an African character who uses capoeira, which is very unique and different from the rest of the lineup. It's not really an intention of creating a balance and making sure there are characters from each individual title, but more the individuality of characters that helps us decide who's appropriate. So based on this information, Capcom will likely deliver 4 fighters who are from very different parts of the world with different fighting styles, and will likely include a woman or two. We already seem to have a black American boxer joining the character lineup in the form of Balrog, and the European claw-wielding maniac from Spain, Vega. You couldn't ask for 2 fighters who are stylistically more different. Based around the fact that both of these fighters are connected to M.Bison, my third pick for the next round of DLC is Rose. The fact that M.Bison shared his origin story in Street Fighter 6 with Rose even being featured in the cutscenes indicates to me that we could see the Soul Power user showing up again at some point quite soon. Finally, my last prediction of who will show up in Season 3 is the M.Bison of the Fatal Fury world, Geese Howard. After all, if Terry Bogard and Mai Shiranui are coming to town, it wouldn't surprise me if he joined the action as well. Particularly when, just like M.Bison, he is another villain who keeps miraculously coming back from the dead too. So there you have it, 2 pretty much dead certainties for Season 3, and 2 sensible predictions. Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comment section, or if you have a better idea, let us know about that too. Don't forget, I can get you 61% off the Ultimate Edition of this game, as well as huge discounts on thousands of other titles too. Use my affiliate link, grabbing a shopping cart of bargains, and supporting the production of videos like this simultaneously. Or, if you want to support the show in a more personal way, then consider backing the show over on Patreon. Happy shopping. Cheerio!